Hi everyone, in this video I want to share more about a kind of life project or experiment that I'm embarking on for 2024, and that is an online shopping ban. If you've seen my 2024 money goals video or you've been following me for a while, then you might recall hearing me mention it a couple of times. This video will explain in more detail what it is and how I'm going about it, just in case someone out there might find this helpful and would like to try it out for themselves. I'm also keeping myself accountable by putting this on YouTube, and I'll also be following up every month on my newsletter on Substack, which I'll link in the description below, or you can also follow my Telegram channel. I'll split up this video into the following sections, and you can find the timestamps below. If you want to get straight to the rules, you can skip to that section near the end because I'm going to start with a long preamble about why I'm doing this project. With that, let's get started. I'll start with the big why. Why am I doing this project? Well, towards the end of last year, I read the book Digital Minimalism by Cal Newport, and I was really inspired by the lessons I learned from that book. The gist of the book is that Newport is advocating for a more intentional relationship with various technologies. He talks a lot about social media, but it also extends to how you use your email inbox, your messaging apps, and various media and entertainment services like Netflix or YouTube. Up until I read this book, I already knew that my relationship with certain shopping apps and websites were slightly problematic in the sense that I was spending too much time on them. If I looked at my screen time summary, I was spending hours of my time on Shopee, which is great for the corporation, but terrible for me as an individual who had other responsibilities and goals that I want to be working on instead of staring at my screen for that amount of time. That's also why I'm focusing on online shopping as part of my digital life that I want to minimize, because it's where majority of my leisure time is spent. I'm not on social media, so that's not my problem area. In fact, I think I'm better equipped to manage the influence of social media in my life because I've been really cautious about it since I was in university, and so I know what my limit is when it comes to engaging with it. But online shopping, up until the end of 2023, I don't think I really got a grasp on my relationship with it. Partly also because I underestimated the enemy. I didn't think I had a problem. After all, as long as I wasn't persuaded into an impulse purchase, as long as I'm not spending money excessively, as long as I'm hitting my financial goals, it's not an issue, right? Well, I was wrong because I had been focused on the wrong metric. At this stage of my life, it's not money that I should be measuring, it's my time. Which brings me to my reasons why I believe online shopping is not good for me personally. Firstly, even if I don't buy anything, it still saps my time and energy. I can spend hours browsing, thinking about buying something, wanting to find the best possible deal if I were theoretically going to get that thing. And the list of things is endless when things are constantly being marketed to you. Secondly, I was starting to use shopping and browsing as a coping strategy for stressful situations and to avoid unpleasant feelings. Rather than dealing with the feelings or addressing the root of my stress, I would compulsively just take out my phone and start browsing as a way to distract myself. For a period of time, I couldn't even be still for 30 seconds without feeling like I needed to be looking at something on my phone. Thirdly, I know myself and I know that I'm very susceptible to influence and comparison. Constantly exposing myself to the world of online shopping made me feel like I'm in a perpetual state of deprivation, of not enoughness. There was always something new to buy, something that will improve my life, something that will finally make my life feel complete. And I know that's not true. That is not where I find meaning and fulfillment in my life. These are not things that I can buy. In 2022, I did a low buy year where I limited my shopping budget to $50 a month. I made a video all about it, so you can watch that if you're interested. I wanted to make a video at the end of that year about my experience, but I never got around to it because I felt like what I gained from that year-long project was just a very subtle shift in my mindset, almost too subtle for me to consider making an entire video about it. In essence, the low buy year instilled in me a greater sense of value and what is worth spending my money on. The emphasis was on the money and value aspect. And given my financial situation at the time, 2 years ago, that was very important to me. But now, 2 years later, my priorities have shifted. The purpose of the online shopping ban project is to regain my time. This is my attempt to get at the root of the problem, which is not about the money, but about my need for distraction. Actually, if you're interested in more of my thoughts and reflections about my low-buy year, I recommend watching the podcast I did recently with Reggie from The Financial Coconut. I'll link to the specific timestamp in the podcast where I talk about it, so you can watch that if you're interested. To summarize, the main objectives of my online shopping ban are quite simple. Firstly, save money. Secondly, save time. Thirdly, with the extra time, to work on other things that are more meaningful to me, like this YouTube channel. Fourthly, to reduce overstimulation of my brain and rediscover my slower hobbies that I've long neglected, like reading, journaling, and watching movies. I also want to learn to really rest, to let my mind wander, and to do absolutely nothing. Fifthly, to redefine the role of shopping in my life. To be clear, I'm not banishing shopping entirely from my life. I think shopping in its physical, in-person forms still has a valuable place in my life. I think that shopping can be a social and shared experience. For example, I can go shopping with my friends at the mall. The highlight of that experience would be the visual, tactile, and social aspects of shopping. So for me, shopping can still be a pastime if it's with other people and if the focus is not simply on the acquisition of things. Finally, to be more intentional with my purchases. For any purchases that I make moving forward, the intention and purpose must be clear from the beginning. This means no more scrolling online, browsing for things to buy without any clear purpose or need to fulfill. Now, on to the rules of this project. There are two broad categories of rules. First are the rules concerning when I can access these online shopping platforms, and second are the rules governing what I can purchase through online shopping. So, starting with the access rules. Number 1, I will delete Shopee and other shopping-related apps like Lazada, Sephora, iHerb from my phone. So on most days, these apps don't live on my phone at all. I will only download them if I need to look for something and then promptly delete them. Number 2, I can only download Shopee for 1 day out of the month to browse during the monthly promo days like 6/6, 11/11, 12/12. I can log in the day before to add to cart and check out at midnight. I can also download the Shopee app to mark an order as received and delete it immediately after. This restriction is specifically just for Shopee because it has everything you could ever want or need, so its hold on my attention has been the greatest of all the apps. For websites like iHerb and Sephora, they offer a more specific genre of products, so I find them less attention-consuming in that way. But the moment I feel like I am fixating on something and spending way too much time on these apps, then I'll try to catch myself before I lose too many hours of my life. I am also using this browser called Firefox Focus as my main browser on my phone because it only allows me to open one tab at a time. This has helped a lot in preventing me from opening multiple tabs at once, which is what I usually do when I'm window shopping online and looking into 10 different products at the same time. Next, these are my rules around purchasing items online. Number 1, I will maintain a list of things I need to purchase. I will see what can be purchased in store, like FairPrice or Decathlon, and what needs to be purchased online. Number 2, I can buy things online if I have seen the item in person at a physical store. I did this recently for something I wanted to buy in Uniqlo, where I needed a size that was only available online, and I also had an online-only voucher. And then number 3, I will save up all the items that can only be purchased online and only buy them during the monthly promo season on Shopee. These are my criteria before purchasing anything online. Firstly, there needs to be significantly better deals online than in-store. For example, if the item is more than $10 and the savings are more than $2. Secondly, the item needs to be unavailable in-store in a convenient way. For instance, if the travel time to the store is more than 1 hour from my house. Thirdly, the item needs to be inconvenient to bring home due to bulk or weight. For example, groceries, furniture, appliance, etc. Fourthly, if it's a replacement item for something I use regularly, I can get it immediately, but excess rules apply, like having to delete the app immediately after I purchase it. Finally, if the item is considered frivolous and a non-necessity, like perfume or home decor, then it has to live in my wishlist for at least 3 months before I can buy it. Back in December, when I was crafting the rules of this project and why I wanted and needed to do this for myself, I also wrote myself a manifesto to keep myself committed and disciplined. If I felt my resolve wavering, then I would go back and reread what I wrote. So I want to share it with you, in case it's something you need to hear also. I call it the anti-Shopee manifesto, but you can replace Shopee with your online shopping platform of choice, whether it's Amazon or Lazada, and I'm pretty sure my points will still apply. This video is not sponsored by Shopee, and after this video, I probably never will be, and that's okay. I think it's probably better for all of us anyway. Alright, here is my manifesto. Number 1. Shopping is no longer a physical event that happens with others or in a physical retail store. Online shopping is a lonely, solitary, and isolated experience between yourself and your phone screen. Number 2. The total amount of time you spend on Shopee is in no way commensurate with the total savings you get from flash deals, vouchers, and coins cashback. It is Shopee's ultimate strategy to get you to compulsively check their app for these things. Your focus, time, and attention is far more valuable than these deals. Number 3. Convenience is not the ultimate goal, intentionality is. Shopee's ultimate selling point is its convenience, but the price you pay is too high. You are not just paying with money for things you never intended to buy, but you are also paying with your attention, time, and energy. You might think getting something for cheaper on Shopee compared to retail is worth it, but it is usually not when the invisible exchange is also your time and attention on the app. Number 4. There are very few things in this world that you need that can only be found online. If you truly need it urgently, you will definitely be able to find it in person in a physical store. For example, groceries, cleaning supplies, household tools. If you can wait for something to be shipped, it's unlikely to be urgent and therefore unlikely to be a true necessity. Number 5. It is also Shopee's strategy to provide anything you could possibly want to buy, from groceries, household necessities, to furniture and decor, and even luxury items. This is a trap. Their aim is to have a monopoly on all your categories of spending, so you never have to look anywhere else. Number 6. You won't find happiness at the bottom of your infinite scrolling feed. The algorithms on Shopee are just like on social media. They want to show you things that interest you, that you might like, that you might buy. You're not seeking out these things intentionally. You are looking for things to buy. That is not in line with your values of intentional living. While I officially started this project at the beginning of 2024, I had already been trying it out since December last year. As I was coming up with my rules and figuring out what would be feasible for me with my lifestyle and my habits, I let myself ease into it by deleting the apps and limiting the amount of time I spent browsing online. I didn't want to completely shock my system by removing my main leisure activity without replacing it with anything else, so I was also rediscovering my other hobbies like going to the library, reading books, doing yoga. And I have to say, I think I'm doing pretty well so far. My screen time has gone down considerably since I deleted all the shopping apps from my phone and used my free time to do other activities. There's also other external factors that have helped. One major change is that I started my new job and a lot of my time and attention is taken up by that. Usually my tendency to compulsively check shopping apps comes up when I'm bored or stressed, and there hasn't been many reasons this year to scroll due to boredom compared to last year. However, starting a new job is arguably pretty stressful and uncomfortable, and those are also my triggers to want to compulsively check my phone. But thankfully, because I don't have easy access to those apps anymore, I haven't been doing it as much. So it proves to me that cutting off access to temptation will result in a reduction of the consequences of giving in to the temptation as well, that is, losing my time and/or money. So I'm optimistic about this. I have a lot of things I want to do this year, and more importantly, I have more clarity on what I should not be doing if I want to have the time to do the things I want to do. Before we end this video, I want to share an anecdote I came across on the interwebs that I've been thinking about that I think resonates with what I'm trying to accomplish with this project. It's a story about Kurt Vonnegut, who allegedly said this, but every source I found phrased it in a different way. I'll put it up on screen here because it's pretty long, so please pause the video to read it. It really struck a chord in me the first time I read it. I'm still picking it apart in my head, but I think it's really reframed how I thought about the concept of wasting time. I've always thought of time as this linear, two-dimensional thing. You either have more time or less time. You spend more time on something or less time on something. This simple envelope story reminded me that it's not always about doing the easiest or most convenient or most practical or most efficient thing to save time. What you do with that time and during that time is also worth investigating. Online shopping, as it has manifested in my life, flattens my time, makes me lose time in a way that I don't value, makes me lose sight of the present, makes me anxious, self-centered, and poor. I lose so much of the experience and dimensions of being human when I get sucked into my phone screen and the empty promises of consumerism. And that's why this project is so important to me. If you've watched this far, thank you so much for your support. Making these videos for myself and for you motivates me to always be better than I was yesterday. If this online shopping ban is something that you're interested in doing too, please let me know in the comments. Or if you're interested and want to follow my journey, you can subscribe to my Substack where I'll post monthly updates on how it's going. I wish you all the best for the rest of your day, and I'll see you in my next video.